Baylor is a university committed to excellence in all things.
The video was published by Baylor's Office of Diversity and Inclusion in 2019.
The diversity of our people makes us strong.
It depicts the university's inclusive environment where diversity and equity are embraced.
And each year, a diverse group of students who find their home here are adding to the richness of campus life.
Baylor's Diversity Office was created in 2018 by Brittany Wardlaw. She was an attorney and former Title IX coordinator at Liberty University in Virginia. Wardlaw was recruited by Baylor in 2017 to improve its new Title IX office. Now, 3 years later, Wardlaw and her family are making their own video on the courthouse steps in Waco. Only this time, the message is different.
One of the many silenced voices has been that of the Black community. I've watched as staff members with little to no recourse are demoted and or terminated for their failure to conform to a white culture.
It was a stunning turnaround. Baylor and Wardlaw had parted ways. Wardlaw says she resigned in May of this year after 3 years of fighting the system, essentially forced to resign by bosses who fought her push for equity and diversity. She says it was only days after she first started at Baylor that her bosses made it clear to her they were not interested in change.
This is going to be an uphill struggle to get them to understand the value of equity. And this was the beginning of a long battle.
Wardlaw says she was quickly removed from the Title IX office and encouraged to take a settlement and leave Baylor. She refused, but convinced administration to allow her to create the Office of Campus Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And while she was granted the startup, she says many of her attempts to fully operate her office were rejected. In this email, Wardlaw proposes posting a complaint hotline number. Her boss's response, rejection, saying, "I prefer that we do not have the equity office number published. It gives an incorrect perception since it's not a full office." Wardlaw says discrimination complaints still came in. One of them from Jewel Bishop, a manager at Baylor's College of Nursing. Bishop says harassment from her boss, a white female, made it nearly impossible for her to do her job.
I could never do anything right. If I raised a concern, it was either brushed off as insignificant or I was being difficult. And toward the end there, I was just an angry Black woman.
Bishop's complaint found its way to Wardlaw, who says when she tried to interview Bishop's boss, her own boss stopped the investigation.
So she sends an email after that confirming, "I just want to confirm, we're going to take a break, press pause on that investigation." Okay, just like that.
With no investigation, Jewel Bishop had no protection. A short time later, she was terminated. Wardlaw says things got worse for her late last year when she and the Black Faculty Association submitted recommendations to administration on improving recruitment of minority faculty and staff.
This was a nail in my career. This letter with BFSA, that was, it just tailspin from there.
By May of this year, Wardlaw says she had been reassigned and grown tired of the fight, tired of advocating for advancement and inclusion, and after 3 years of trying to improve the culture at Baylor, she resigned.
Why does this institution have every single person of leadership is white? Every single president's council member, every single provost, every single dean. We had a huge celebration because they have a Black woman that's a chair of a department now. Let's celebrate because a school that's 175 years old cannot manage to find a Black person competent enough to lead.
Baylor officials declined our numerous requests for an interview. The university did issue a statement, and while they do not address specific allegations, they do say Baylor is committed to treating all students, faculty, and staff with respect, dignity, promoting equal opportunities, and prohibiting discriminatory practices, including unlawful discrimination. Complaints are thoroughly investigated by either internal staff or external firms. Baylor says over the past 3 months, Baylor has undertaken a number of significant actionable steps to address issues of equity and racial justice on our campus. Other steps are laid out in this statement issued by President Linda Livingstone in June. They include requiring diversity training, strengthening staff diversity, and holding a weekly prayer service for justice and healing.
Why is this important now? When people were fighting for this very thing you're doing for years, and that it's important now. What changed? Oh, everybody's watching. That's what changed.
I would still have to give Baylor a failing grade.
Siobhan Steuben of San Francisco is the immediate past president of the student NAACP at Baylor. Steuben says race was an issue all 4 years at Baylor. One example, the Greek system, where traditionally white sororities, known as the Panhellenic Council, enjoy the exclusive use of their own events building, the privately funded Stacy Riddle Forum.
So you couldn't be in the Panhellenic Council if you wanted to be?
No, so we could not use that building. So that building is specifically for them. They have swipe access, their names are on the door.
Steuben says the white sororities and fraternities were disciplined differently as well. In 2017, the Kappa Sigma fraternity received what was termed an interim suspension after hosting a Mexican-themed party called Cinco de Drinko, which sparked outrage among minority students. Last year, the Pi Beta Phi sorority posted a video of themselves singing the N-word. Again, minority students were outraged. The sorority's punishment, sensitivity training. We found no indication they were ever suspended. Then, later in the year, a Latina sorority, Gamma Alpha Omega, was accused of hazing. Former sorority member Becca Huerta says all Gamma activities at Baylor were suspended for the entire semester, pending an investigation.
We weren't allowed to recruit. We weren't allowed to wear our letters on campus. We weren't allowed to talk about our sorority on campus. All the events that we had planned were immediately canceled.
Huerta says the charges were ultimately dismissed and her sorority punished but cleared. Brittany Wardlaw says it's a frustrating example of how Baylor continues to mistreat and suppress minorities despite perpetual public pledges to embrace change.
The idea that blacks are less than white people, that's what you're founded on. So let's own it and think about what the implications of that are. Because if you don't own it and think about those implications, you're never going to actually fix the problem. You're literally just putting lipstick on a pig.